credits, IVs, the game corner, hidden powers, and so much more. This is your inside look at all the nerdy numbers that drive the Arena Revolution Championship, and most importantly, how those numbers impact you as a member of the ARC community. Welcome to ARConomy. Hello everyone and welcome to ARConomy. I'm so sorry for the lack of episodes over the past 2 Fridays. I know I promised that we're going to get right back to regular episodes because I'm not Spence and all that sort of stuff. But then I had surprise babysitting duty and this past weekend was also crazy. But I promised you guys episodes, so I'm going to get you guys episodes. And for starters, this week on this episode, we're going over the 11 battles that took place during the week of 7.2.3, how they affected the game corner, and one very impressive battle from 7.2.2, that was 2 weeks ago, that I wanted to look at. And so we're just going to jump right into that, take a look at how Naht beat Reggie and the impact that had on the game corner. So for those of you who don't remember what the game corner looked like when Naht and Reggie were going at it, Naht only got 1 pick. It was a 3-point pick from Evo. Meanwhile, Reggie got 10 picks for 41 points, 5-point honors from the Chimp, Reggie himself, Sments, and Chews, 4 points from Dozer, Venz, and Shadow, and 3 from Shoops, Abrant, and Hashok, giving him, of that week, the biggest spread of 38 points, the heavy favorite of 9 pick difference, and, of course, the biggest upset, as we mentioned, now winning and getting 41 spoiler points from that matchup. This is the biggest upset ARC has recorded as far as I'm aware, which beat the Sments over Venge upset the week before, which we covered last time on ARConomy. And this had crazy ramifications across the board. Looking at what happens if Reggie wins, not Venge. If Reggie wins and beats Naht, Dozer gets 4 more points, Hatshot gets 3, they both move up to 14 points total. Reggie and Chews both get 5 and move up to 12 points total. The Chimp gets 5 points, moves up to 11 points total. Sments gets 5 more, moves up to 10 points total. Venge and Shadow get 4 more points, move up to 9 points total. They become tied with Dart, Brecker, and Sage. That's how far down you have to go to find someone who wasn't affected by the Navi Reggie match. You had to go down to 9 total points. Shoops would be at 7 points with plus 3 from that match, tied with Vendetta. Abrant would get 3 points to bring his total to 5. Evil would lose 3 to bring his total to 4, and then Max and Otto would still be sitting down at the bottom at 2. That was a massive game corner upset. It hit almost every single battler that week. It's crazy. I loved it. Nah, you're one of my favorite people because of that upset. If you're listening to this, I just wanted to let you know that I specifically made a point to get an episode out this Monday so I can still talk about your battle, which happened last week, 2 weeks ago, without it sounding too out of context. Because that battle, even though I hadn't watched the replay, that battle was glorious because of the ramifications it had on the game corner. It makes me happy. It's my favorite part of ARConomy, is going over these what-ifs of what would have happened had some crazy upset not happened. And those for you who are wondering, we normally go over IVs, not doing that for this episode because of all the situation with how they were incorrectly displayed and all that sort of stuff. You guys all saw the announcement the other day, and I just don't really have the time to fix that and adjust it on my notes, so we're just going with what we have. We're also not going to be mentioning for last week's battles who got picked where. Moving into battle number 1, we had Evo versus Chews, which saw Evo gets 4 points on 3 picks, a 2-pointer, and 2 1-pointers. I'm not going to go over who picked that. I don't have the time to look through Game Corner. I'm still working on all the automation stuff I keep talking about, but I think I finally have a visualized idea of what I'm trying to get at with that, if that makes any sense. So, because I have a lot of data that I want to present and a lot of data that goes into displaying that. So it's not just the simple sort of like, here's your table and it's just there out in the open, I needed like a 3-dimensional table. And obviously spreadsheets don't do that very well. But I think I finally thought of something. I got to get in contact with Evo or try to figure it out myself. But ARConomy is slowly growing in content, and it's going to get bigger and better the longer that I'm here. And I'm here for the long run, dang it. So back to our 9 battles that got done last week. We had Evo versus Choose, which was our biggest unknown. They had tied for the fewest total picks at only 5 picks between the 19 participants of the Game Corner last week. And the fewest points at only 9 points total. Evo got 4 of those on 3 picks, as we mentioned, a 2-pointer and 2 1-pointers, while Choose got 5 points on only 2 picks, a 4-pointer and a 1-pointer. Evo, of course, pulled up the victory, getting the nice sort of upset in points-wise, but not upset in pick-wise. One of those weird situations where you have to choose how you think someone has the advantage in the Game Corner. It's really interesting. That's the question for the day. What do you think plays the bigger role in determining what the upset is? The point value of the picks or the number of picks themselves? I personally don't know. My obviously biggest spoilers purely on points, but you can make an argument for the picks. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. So moving on, we had Shadow versus Sai next. Shadow got 5 picks for a total of 20 points, 3 5-pointers, a 3-pointer, and a 2-pointer, while Sai got 4 picks for a total of 16 points, a 5-pointer, 2 4-pointers, and a 2-pointer. Shadow won, getting a nice bit of spoiler points. He was definitely the favorite to win that, but not by much. I think it was really like slight home field advantage there for him. Pierre versus Brecker saw only 1 pick for Pierre, a 4-pointer, and meanwhile Brecker got 5 picks, a 5-pointer, 2 3-pointers, and 2 2-pointers for a total of 15 points. Brecker, of course, proving why he deserved that many picks and that many points, beating Pierre and still getting a nice solid 4-point spoilers. Dan versus Reggie had 10 picks total. Dan got 7 of them, a 5-pointer, 2 4-pointers, 3 3-pointers, and a 1-pointer. Was that a 2-pointer? For 24 points. I think that is a 2-pointer. Sorry, I had Sage help me out with the notes, and he does it just slightly differently than when I do it, and since I did half of them, he did half of them, sometimes a little confusing to read because I have to switch back and forth over who wrote what. So confirmed that is 1 2-pointer, not 2 1-pointers. His opponent, Reggie, got 3 picks, a 5-pointer, a 2-pointer, and a 1-pointer for a total of 8 points. Dan won, and those people who picked Reggie were sad. Fire Gem versus Marble saw 5 picks total. Another one of those really unknown sort of matches this week, but it was a total of 12 points between the two, 3 more than our biggest unknown title match of Evo and Choose. Well, it wasn't really a title match, but they got the title of biggest unknown. You know what I'm talking about here. Fire Gem got 3 picks, a 5-pointer, a 2-pointer, and a 1-pointer for 8 points total. Marble got 2 picks, a 3 and a 1 for 4 points. Marble winning, getting a nice bit of underdog spoiler points. I think Fire Gem was in PU that week, and that's why he was slightly favored. Max versus Hashok saw another 10-pick match. Max only getting 3 picks for 7 points, 2 3-pointers, and a 1-pointer, while Hashok got 7 picks for 21 points. A 5-pointer, 2 4-pointers, a 3-pointer, 2 2-pointers, and a 1-pointer. Nice little pattern he had going there for his picks. Hashok won, proving why he's the favorite. Not a lot of big spoiler opportunities this week, which makes me sad. I was hoping for more Naht versus Reggie or Smens versus Venge situations. It makes for a better podcast. And dang it, I need content. Otto versus Sage was our biggest spread of the week. An 18-point difference between Otto and Sage. Otto got 7 picks for 22 points, a 5-pointer, 2 4-pointers, 2 3-pointers, a 2 and a 1-pointer. Meanwhile, Sage only got 3 picks for 4 pointers, a 2-pointer, and 2 1-pointers. Otto won, which ruined any hope I had at there being an entertaining match to talk about. Yui versus Sments actually had the most picks of the week at 12. Picks total. Out of 19 people picked this match. Yui got 7 of those for 24 points, 3 5-pointers, a 4-pointer, 2 2-pointers, and a 1-pointer, while Sments got 5 for 13. a 5-pointer, 4-pointer, a 2-pointer, and 2 1-pointers. Yui won, which, I mean, he still got a decent number of spoiler points there, but I still would have liked to see cements, because at least then it would have been something entertaining-wise to talk about, a slight what-if scenario. And then we had a Bront versus Venge, which is our biggest spoiler of the week, which really isn't saying anything, because I think with the way these matches ended up, no matter who won this was going to be the biggest spoiler of the week, because Bront got 6 picks for 17 points, 2 5-pointers, a 3, a 2, and 2 1s. While Venge got 5 picks for 18 points, a 5-pointer, 2 4s, a 3, and a 2. Venge won, so he got the 17-point spoiler, but if LeBron won, he would get an 18-point spoiler, so it really isn't much of a surprise there that someone got a lot of spoiler points. Someone was going to be moving up in the ladder there. It just so happened to be Venge, because Venge almost always wins unless he's facing Sments in some impossible-to-lose scenario, and he goes ahead and proves us all wrong again. So we did have 2 other battles this past week that didn't happen. A. Kelly versus Huang and Shoops versus Vendetta. A. Kelly had 4 picks. Huang got 1, so that's 5 picks total on that one, and 5 picks also on the Shoops versus Vendetta match. Now, neither one of them beat out the 9-point minimum that we had for the most unknown. A. Kelly got a 5-pointer, 2 4-pointers, and a 3-pointers, so 16 points. Not a lot of people picked him, but those who did valued his ability. Huang got only a 2-point pick. If A. Kelly had won, Dozer would have gained 5 points to move to 12 overall. Brecker would have gained 4 to move to 15, which would have been a perfect week for him. Reggie would have gained 4 points to move to 9, and Choose would have gained 3 points to 10. While if Huang had won, Otto would have gained 2 points to move to 14 on the week. And then you had Shoops versus Vendetta. Shoops got 2 picks for 5 points, a 4 and a 1-pointer. Vendetta got 3 for 8, a 4, a 3, and a 1. If Shoops had won, Shadow would have gained 4 points to go to 11, and Dozer would have gained 1 point to 8. And if Vendetta had won, the Chimp would have gained 3 points to move to 9. Pierre would have moved plus 4 to 10. And Otto would have gained 1 point to 13. Now, those of you who were paying close attention might have heard me mention 2 names twice during that. Otto versus Dozer. They were the only people to pick both the matches that didn't happen. And interestingly enough, they both picked opposite people in those situations. Otto himself putting picks on for Vendetta and Huang, while Dozer picked A. Kelly and Shoops, which raises an interesting question. What would have it looked like for the best case scenario for both people? Because I need content. There was no spoilers to talk about, so I'm talking about the what ifs because I can. And you can't stop me. Well, I mean, I guess you could turn off the podcast. We've already listened to my rambling for this long, so you might as well just continue at this point. Otto's best case scenario would see him gaining a perfect week. Luckily for him, the 2 battles that didn't happen were only the 2 and the 1-pointers, but if he had been right, a perfect week is always welcome. Bringing his total to 15 points, plus 3 total, and putting him at the top of the leaderboards, up 3 spots from his original of 4th. Sage and Yui both would have moved down 1 spot, tied for 2nd. Evo would have moved down to 4th. That's a -1 spot. Max would have dropped 1 spot to 5th. A Bront, Brecker, and Venge would have stayed tied at 6 at 11, and then we get some more jumps. Pierre would have gained 4 points to 10 and moved up 4 spots to 9th had Otto's best case scenario happened. And the Chimp would have gained 3 points and moved up 3 spots to 10 with 9 points. Dozer, Choose, Shadow, and Sments would have all still been tied at 7 points, but moved down 2 spots to 11th place instead of 9. And Dart and Fire Gem would have still been tied at 6, but moved down to 15 instead of 13. Reggie, Dan, and Vendetta would still have rounded out the bottom with 5, 3, and 1 points respectively. Not much changing down there. And really not much as a whole happening. Otto was the only person to pick Heart Huang in the entire week, and only the Chimp and Pierre chose Vendetta, and both of them were kind of low ladder, so there wasn't a lot of movement that was exciting to talk about. Luckily, we got a little bit more when you talk about Dozer's best case scenario of A. Kelly and Shoops winning. As we mentioned before, with even just A. Kelly winning, Brecker would have gained his perfect week. That would have been enough to jump him to the top spot. Meanwhile, Sage and Yui would have both still stayed at 14. Neither one picked either match, but they would still drop to 2nd place on the week. Dozer would have had enough points, 6 points total, to jump up to tie with Evo at 13. So 6 points gained to 13 total. So they both would now be tied at 4th. Big difference there is that that's Dozer moving up 5 spots. Apparently, I can't talk. While Evo would drop 1 from his original spot of 3rd. Max and Otto would both drop 2 spots to 6th, despite staying at 12 points each. Shadow would have jumped up to 8th place from his original of 9th, thanks to his gaining of 4 points. While Venge and Abram, also tied at 11 with Shadow, would have dropped 2 spots since they were originally tied for 6th. Choose, being the most interesting scenario in this, would have gained 3 points under Dozer's best case scenario, but he would go from being tied for 9th to being tied for 11th. So even though he gained points, he doesn't gain enough points to pass anyone ahead of him, but a few people behind him do leapfrog him in this scenario. Reggie gets a little bit luckier, gaining 4 points to bring his total up to 9, would have been tied for 12th, or 5 spots up from his original of 17th, or 3rd to last, which is a little easier to understand exactly how bad he did this week, unfortunately for him. Dart, Fire Gem, Pierre, and the Chimp all would have still had 6 and would have been tied for 14th instead of their original 13th, and then Dan and Vendetta still at 18 and 19. They had very bad weeks, especially Vendetta. Vendetta, I'm sorry. I've been there. It sucks. There's really nothing you can do about it except try again next week. And did you try this week? We will check real quick if you had checked this week. And sure enough, you did, and you are already looking better. You have 5 points already. Good job, Vendetta. I'm proud of you for your perseverance. Good job. So that leaves only one more thing to do, to look at the spoiler leaderboards. As of right now, Sments is still sitting at the top with 65 total spoiler points, which is, holy cow, ridiculous. Because even though Naht got the spotlight for their win over Reggie, Sments had a decent upset that week too. I believe he toppled UE he toppled Abram in doubles OU, which is absolutely ridiculous. He went back-to-back massive upset weeks. Nas in second place, 54 total spoiler points, having spoiled 19 picks. So even though they're 11 points, spoiler points behind, they're only 7. No, I can't math. There are only 9 individual picks behind. Meanwhile, 9 picks behind Naht is Venge in third place at spoiler points, but 30 points behind at only 24. That's kind of ridiculous. Just a little bit. And then you have Seiji Mugen, who has spoiled 19 picks, but only 22 points. So it's really interesting to look at what's more important, spoiling points or spoiling picks. Because when you look at picks, you have Mugen, Dan, Abram, Max, Yui, Fire Gem, Choose, A. Kelly, Otto, Heart Huang. Wait a second. What is this? Game spoiled, number of picks spoiled, number of spoiler points. How could Heart Huang have spoiled 18 picks and only get 4 spoiler points? Evo, I'm looking at this and I'm curious as to what the heck this table is. Fix your dang table, Evo. Because it's telling me that I spoiled 8 picks, but for only 4 points. That's not possible. We don't have half-point picks. Lowest you can get on is 1. So Evo needs to look at that, apparently. We'll see what gets fixed. We'll ignore the number of picks spoiled for now, I guess. Point is, Mens is at the top, 65. Naht right behind him at 54. And then you have Venge, Mugen, and Shadow at 24, 22, and 20. But they're so far out of the spoiler points race, I don't think any of them are even going to catch up to Naht in second. It would take a ridiculous week, and I don't think anyone's really going to give Venge that kind of underdog situation. Really, only Sage and Shadow would have a chance at that. So that's all for this week. Sorry that it seemed a little disorganized. Life's still a little hectic for me, but I wanted to get this episode out because I really like talking numbers, and apparently there are people who enjoy listening to me talk about numbers for whatever weird reason. So without further ado, ARConomists, dart out.